I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, and in this video I'm going to give you 10 reasons why that is.
Oh, hey, it's Matty Boom Boom again. How's it going? And 10 reasons he doesn't believe in an early stage of the universe's formation as we understand it that is by far the best explanation of that event. Well, okay, but I don't know how he's going to be able to say, because I'm a massive dumbass, 10 times in a row without repeating himself. But I'm sure it will be very fun to watch him struggle. Go ahead.
Number one, because if everything was condensed down into an infinitely dense hot point, everything that you see and that hot point exploded.
Oh, look, a straw man. What a surprise. First, you're talking about the singularity, which, as you almost certainly have been told infinity plus 1 times, is not what the Big Bang Theory is about. What it is essentially what the math says happened before the Big Bang, and likely not actually what happened. And the Big Bang itself is absolutely not an explosion. It is an expansion of matter. And now you may argue, but isn't an explosion just an expansion of matter? And okay, sure, but not all expansions of matter are explosions. If you drop a bunch of balls into a pool, they would expand out, but no one's going to compare that to a goddamned fireball.
Let me say, only smaller particles are going to fly off. It's not going to construct larger pieces of material. It's only going to shatter and break down into smaller pieces of energy.
Again, and partly because it's not an explosion. You are missing an important step. As an expansion, even if relatively rapid, certain particles are already going to be relatively grouped together. So those groups are going to be drawn even closer via that little thing that you might not have heard of, gravity, you fucking moron. And as those clumps get bigger and gain greater mass, their pull is going to be greater and greater still until most of the material nearby is either a part of them directly, likely some kind of sun, or orbiting around them in various shapes and sizes, from meteors to full fat planets. So that's 1. I'm a massive dumbass down, 9 to go.
Reason number 2 would be that you cannot take a small piece of energy or dust and convert it into a boulder, for example, or a planet, for example. It is impossible.
Well, aside from the fact that you are going in a different wrong direction to what I'm going to talk about, it still demonstrates that you are just not very bright. You can, in fact, make a boulder from a dust fragment, or even a planet and beyond. You just need more than one of them. Because sure, an individual piece of dust a planet does not make, but umpteen bajillion of them all coming together, you could make a universe out of that, because that's more or less exactly what happened.
There is no way to convert these small materials, this infinitely dense hot point that they claim that the Big Bang was, into gigantic pieces of rock.
Again, ignoring the fact that the singularity is not the Big Bang, infinitely dense. Do you know what those 2 words together mean, you clud? If at any point that thing stopped being dense and just started getting bigger, exactly what could you do to stop it? And how do you know there's no way to move from that state to this one? Have you ever seen something that is infinitely dense? And no, you can't count the man in the mirror. This is simply an assertion without evidence. Or, well, an argument from ignorance. And when I say from ignorance, I don't mean that you are ignorant, but that this argument is coming from the very concept of ignorance.
The 3rd reason is that you cannot convert dust to water. Again, in the Big Bang model, they claim that energy or dust was compacted down and then exploded and converted into all of the elements on the periodic table.
The Big Bang didn't create dust, you imbecile. And dust and energy are not analogues. The energy cooled and formed matter in the form of elements, and it's those that combine together to form compounds. And I would say that that is the closest analogue to dust in this chain. But the energy was very much first. Also, that the Big Bang created all the elements is just patently false. It only formed the lightest elements. The heavier ones came way fucking later, when stars did their thing and performed stellar nucleosynthesis. It's amazing just how much of this you get wrong, and yet think that you have any goddamn right to say that anything is fake.
Including water, and that is impossible for that to have happened.
Impossible, is it? Okay. Explain how it's impossible. Explain what the process is according to the science that you don't believe in. What's that? You definitely can't because you don't actually bother to learn the science. You just whine, I don't like that. And that automatically makes it wrong somehow. Sorry, buddy, not how that works. Energy cools, forms into lighter elements. Those elements coalesce into stars. The stars form heavier elements, including the oxygen that is needed for, that's right, water. According to you, bringing elements together at all must be impossible, even though it literally happens all the time. So how the fuck can water even exist?
Reason number 4 would be that there are certain elements that you cannot compress past a certain point. Take a gallon of water, for example. Could a gallon of water fit inside of or be compressed down into a dot that is smaller than a period on a page?
But it isn't water, you fucking nugget. Certain elements didn't exist before the Big Bang because none of them did. The singularity as a concept is nothing but energy. It is not water or even hydrogen. You could argue that you don't think that energy can be compressed like that, and you'd still be wrong, but the fact is, you just don't understand what is even being compressed because you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Absolutely not. That is impossible. So there's no way that all of the matter that we see existed as energy previously and was condensed down into a infinitely dense hot point.
Even if there was no transition from energy to matter, or even if today you couldn't compress that energy beyond a certain point, which I don't know, that might be true, what exactly makes you think that the conditions at the start of the universe didn't allow for exactly that? Hell, even though water essentially doesn't compress past a certain point today, you can't tell me that you know that it couldn't back then. All you can say is, I read somewhere that it doesn't work, so I don't think that's how it would work back then, which is a lot less impressive sounding than, it's impossible because we're smart.
Reason number 5 is that chaotic explosions do not create orderly systems.
Oh, it's not an explosion, you unbearable dickhead. But how about this? What is a volcanic eruption if not a large, naturally occurring explosion? And you know what happens after you finish having a geological tantrum? Crystals form. You know, just about the most ordered structure on the face of the goddamn planet. Yeah, it's like you don't even try to refute the things that you say before making these stupid fucking videos. Alright, because you don't. You are convinced that you are basically the smartest man on the planet. So why would you ever need to falsify your ideas? You're always right, just like every other utter moron thinks they are.
Think about it. We live in the Milky Way galaxy. It is an orderly system. We have a solar system with planets that go about in a specific orbit. How could a random explosion create something like that? That is impossible.
Thinking about things, don't try to tell other people to do something that you've never even tried, Matthew. What's clearly impossible is getting you to know anything about what the actual science says and to get you to talk about it without completely misrepresenting the field entirely. And hell, let's just say that the Big Bang Man was an explosion. What makes you think that it was random, whatever you even mean by that? Because why are you using that word? What if it was the most precisely ordered explosion that ever did the do? You don't know it didn't because the conditions at the beginning of the universe might favor ordered explodey boys. And could the order from that not then continue throughout the universe? And if not, why not? But I only want answers that make any sense whatsoever. So, you know, probably have someone else answer it for you.
Reason number 6 is that explosions destruct things. They destroy.
Holy fuck, you are just setting these up so I can knock them out of the park, aren't you? Thanks, man. You know what, again, volcanoes are also fucking famous for? Creating goddamn land masses. Take Hawaii, for instance. It is the literal instance of an explosion creating a great big landmass. The fuck is that if not the opposite of destruction? And if you want to be stupid, you could say, well, what about the stuff that was there before? Well, you know, the earliest volcanoes would have been destroying a whole lot of fuck all around them. And again, forming islands and land bridges and motherfucking mountains. You are just so goddamn bad at this.
They're claiming in the Big Bang model that we came from a rapid expansion or an explosion. If you have an explosion that occurred from an infinitely dense hot point, it is going to wreak havoc on whatever is in its path.
Well, that's some sneaky trickery right there. You also briefly mention the expansion, the accurate way to describe it, and then move right back to explosions again. There's no way you aren't doing that, so when you inevitably get called out, you think that you could say, no, I said it was an expansion, look, so you can't criticize me. Also, wreak havoc in whatever is in its path. You mean on empty space? The empty space that it is essentially forming. Oh no, whatever will we do? Honestly, I do wonder if Matt has been some kind of social experiment this whole time to see if we can get a man to say the dumbest shit ever with a straight face.
It's not going to construct a solar system like I mentioned in the last point. It's not going to create order out of chaos.
And that's another thing. The Big Bang doesn't say anything about making planets, etc. Those kind of things form after the Big Bang. But that's because of the fundamental forces at play, not the Big Bang itself. Shit, if there was no gravity, then the Big Bang would likely happen in near enough the same way. But nothing would end up coming together because it's not the cause of planets. It is merely the matter that they consist of that comes from that.
It is just simply impossible. Explosions destruct. God must have constructed this universe.
For fuck's sake, if you're just going to throw in magic, what is the point? Why argue against any of the science? You could go, you see, the Big Bang is true and happened, and then God gathered up all the material to make the planets out of them. You see? That's the major problem with creationism. You make everything way harder for yourselves. You have to constantly be anti-science. You have to argue against things that we more or less know to be the case, and you sound increasingly dumb while doing so. And you throw magic on top. Why not just skip the anti-science shit and go straight to, yeah, that happened and God did it, stroke helped, or whatever. But no, you're also stubbornly attached to being wrong. You won't ever use your best trump card to get out of it. And by best, I still mean fucking terrible.
Reason number 7 is that dust cannot start a fire. Think about it, you've got nuclear fusion in space, the sun.
Wait, no. What? Is that even a creationist position? Are you saying that star formation isn't real? Oh, holy shit, it is. Creationists think that God created all the stars and there aren't any more being made. I knew you guys were freaking stupid. But you're even more dumberer than I ever knew. Shit me. This is a well understood phenomenon. In fact, we know that it happens because there are regions of space where it is literally happening. Well, happening at the time where the light was before it reached us, but probably also right now as well. And that light is basically the same thing from our perspective as being right now. But the more I learn about creationists, the dumber they prove themselves to be. It is incredible.
Could energy exploding just cause the sun to come into existence? Nuclear fusion. You cannot get a fire from nothing.
You just said two different things, you fucking doofus. And one of them is just about the silliest thing I think I've ever heard you say. Can you get a big hot ball of gas from an explosion? Fucking yes, Matt. Do you not know what an explosion is? It's a big ball of hot. Now, that is not how stars form, but shit me. If that wasn't the most ridiculous thing I have heard you say. Also, nuclear fusion is not a fire, and the sun from an explosion is not the same thing as fire from nothing. Could you also stop contradicting yourself? You'll put me out of a job.
These elements would have worn out and broken down, deteriorated and shattered into non-existence. They would not have constructed anything.
It would wear out one of the most common stable atoms in the universe. Seriously, you never cease to impress me, Matt. Your lack of understanding for even the most basic concepts in science is utterly astounding. Not to mention, again, that stars not only don't wear things out the way you are suggesting, but they actually form new elements. This is a big thing that is effectively a continuous explosion that is also an everything factory. Well, the building blocks, but you know what I mean. No, not Matt knowing what I mean. I'm talking about the audience watching this. I wouldn't dare to presume that Matt understood the word the, let alone any concept more complicated than God done it.
Reason number 8 is that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light.
You know what? Fine, I'm going to give him this. This is as close to scientifically accurate as we are ever going to get. And the fact that he even believes that light has a maximum speed, more or less, is great. I don't have to punch myself in the face for just a brief moment. It's lovely.
According to the Big Bang Theory, everything was condensed down. Everything that you see, all the stars, planets, galaxies, and oceans was condensed down as energy into this infinitely dense hot point.
And of course he immediately fucks it up again. No, absolutely not. According to the Big Bang Theory, no oceans, buddy. No, nothing. Just energy. Stop trying to confuse people by talking about matter with mass when things like that did not exist when the Big Bang was first happening. They come way later, for fuck's sake.
And then in a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second, it went from the size of that tiny point to something billions of miles across. No joke, that is what they claim, and that is trillions of times faster than the speed of light. That is scientifically impossible. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light.
Well, it seems you're confusing a limit that appears to exist within the universe and the universe itself. That is, the expansion of the universe itself, when it is not bound by the same rules that exist within itself. I think it's called cosmic inflation, and it means that, in fact, while things are limited to a certain velocity they can go while traveling through space, the space itself can basically drag it at any speed it wants. It's like there is a theoretical upper limit to how fast a human could possibly swim. But you stick that human in a cruise ship's pool and suddenly they are moving way faster. And if you count the movement of the Earth, faster still. So humans can swim at X miles an hour, and also that a human is swimming and moving at thousands of miles an hour, and these can both be true at the same time.
Reason number 9 is the first law of thermodynamics.
Well, I'll believe you understand the first thing about any portion of thermodynamics when pigs fucking fly. Sorry, I meant fuck and fly. I have made them do both, but never at the same time. And I'm pretty sure that's not about to happen, because you definitely think that the Big Bang breaks that law, when it absolutely does not.
Believe it or not, you cannot get something from nothing. A lot of people think that you can, and a lot of people assert that the Big Bang was something from nothing, that there was literally nothing in that infinitely dense point.
Stop contradicting yourself. It's literally a dense and hot thing. That is not fucking nothing, you colossal twonk.
Nothing created everything. Some people do espouse that. How is that possible? How is nothing going to explode and create everything? That is so ludicrous.
Yes, your descriptions of what the science actually says are silly. Good job no one who understands what the science says that. Isn't it funny that you say that it does? Almost like you don't understand the science, even remotely.
This shows that there had to have been an external force that created, and that leads into point number 10.
It absolutely does not show that. That's just your presupposed conclusion, not any actual result or likely cause of anything. Only what you want it to be. And of course it actually shows the opposite, that there is no necessity of an outside force at all.
That you cannot get an explosion.
Okay, and you also can't get a good argument from nothing. If there's no brain, you get endless waffling bullshit instead of an argument that even remotely refutes the Big Bang Theory. Thanks for being the best possible proof that creationists are all idiots. Bye!